At the back of the carriage, exhaustion from the earlier chase had taken its toll, and I had passed out into a deep sleep. As I drifted off and my body finally began to relax, a vision of my younger self as Baekhyun Sol appeared before me. I saw myself calling out for my mother, my voice filled with excitement as I proudly declared, "I am going to become a mage when I grow up." She beamed at me with joy and unwavering belief. I remembered how my parents had saved up to buy me a second-hand magic book, a precious gift despite its worn-out pages. Determined to make them proud, I studied relentlessly, often pushing myself until exhaustion overtook me. My small body slumped over the desk. On those nights, my mother would gently drape a blanket over me, a silent gesture of love and encouragement. But then the memory shifted. I recalled the day we visited the doctor. My mother had listened in disbelief as he delivered the diagnosis mana leakage syndrome. Mana leakage syndrome was an extraordinarily rare condition, appearing only once every century. Those afflicted with it were unable to retain mana within their bodies, a constitution considered cursed in the world of mages. Without the ability to store mana, my presence in this mana-saturated world was faint, almost insubstantial. It also meant a shortened lifespan. The younger Baekhyun Sol's spirit shattered at those words. I saw myself standing there, hopeless, dreams crushed before they could even begin. My mind wavered between the past and the present. Were these truly Baekhyun Sol's memories, or were they my own? The realization jolted me awake. A mild headache throbbed in my skull as I sat up, rubbing my temples. Looking outside, I saw that morning had already arrived. The red-haired girl from before beamed at me. "I was about to wake you up, but since you're already up, I thought I would let you know we are about to arrive in Lazoicha, the satellite city of Arcanium." The carriage came to a slow halt as the group decided to take a short break. Taking the chance to stretch, I rolled my shoulders and shook out the stiffness in my limbs. As I did, I was caught off guard. Once again, the blue-haired girl stood before me. I straightened, gathering myself to introduce myself properly, but before I could utter a single word, she turned and walked away. She really was cold. I let out an embarrassed smile. Still, I felt relieved. Things were progressing smoothly, and I was glad that this world's timeline was closer to modern times rather than the medieval era. In Aetherworld, magic coexisted with advanced technology. Trains, ships, and even warp holes existed within cities, making long-distance travel far more convenient. I knew our next stop was Lazoicha. From there, we would take a flying ship to Arcanium, the city of magic, where the second episode would begin. Arcanium was home to renowned magic towers, mage knight orders, and the 5 prestigious academies. Among them, one stood at the pinnacle, Stellar Academy. Stellar Academy was where the most powerful and elite students from all over the world gathered. Geniuses and nobles filled its halls. Yet, one question lingered in my mind. How did Baekhyun Sol, someone with mana leakage syndrome, manage to gain admission into such an esteemed institution? Shaking off the thought, I realized I had not checked my skills yet. Opening the system, I read through my status. Mana leakage syndrome, level 1. 3% strength boost, 5% agility boost, 10% sensitivity boost. Passive skills, Sixth Sense, consumes mind power to detect mana within a 12-meter radius. Cognitive acceleration automatically activates in dangerous situations. Without Sixth Sense and cognitive acceleration, I would have already been dead. These skills were crucial for Baekhyun Sol, who could not use mana. However, Sixth Sense consumed significant mind power, making prolonged use dangerous. I moved on to my stats. Strength, 59% level 1. Sensitivity, 97%. Agility, 81%. Stamina, 51% level 1. Endurance, 97%. Mind power, 43% level 1. Remaining experience points, 10. Skills, level 0. Traits, mana leakage syndrome, level 1. Looking at my stats, they weren't bad, but I noticed that Baekhyun Sol had relatively low sensitivity in the game. In Aetherworld, each attribute had its own levels, with the maximum being level 9, a level considered nearly impossible to reach, even after a decade of playing. I had only ever reached level 8 in stamina and sensitivity after years of grinding. Without hesitation, I allocated my remaining experience points to sensitivity. A higher sensitivity would enhance both my sixth sense and my cognitive acceleration speed. But there was still a major problem to mana leakage syndrome. If I didn't train it, my survival would be extremely difficult. I needed to upgrade it into secret nature physique as soon as possible, and the only way to do that was within Stellar Academy. I had no choice. I had to enroll in Stellar Academy, not just to save the world from destruction, but to cure my mana leakage syndrome. Just then, a notification appeared. You have missed some notifications. I frowned. I had never seen this prompt before. Before I could check it, someone called me. The journey was about to continue. Sighing, I set it aside for later. As I looked ahead, my eyes landed on the blue-haired girl once more.
Many hours later.
Later on the flying ship, a group of well-dressed individuals stood together, chatting amongst themselves. As I wandered around, taking in the grandeur of the flying ship, I heard one of them scoff. That guy looks like a lost child, one sneered. Maybe he has never been on a flying ship before. Another chuckled. I do not get why Stellar Academy allows peasants in, a condescending voice remarked. I turned to see who had spoken. It was a young nobleman, flanked by 2 lackeys. I didn't respond. Instead, I simply observed them, wondering if their clothes were my size. If I wanted, I could erase them from existence with a well-timed 1-2 punch. But I sighed, looking away. Children will be children, no matter where you go. My indifference only seemed to anger the young noble. His ego, wounded by my lack of reaction, flared up. Just as he was about to lash out, his lackeys suddenly tensed, their expressions filled with unease. He turned annoyed. What the hell is... His words died in his throat. A young woman was approaching. Princess Bion, someone whispered in awe. My head snapped up at the name. Did they just say Bion? Indeed, it was her, Princess Hongbion Adelebit, the princess of the Adelebit kingdom. Her mere presence commanded the room. The air grew tense as everyone fell silent, captivated by her overwhelming aura. The nobleman, who had mocked me earlier, hesitated before attempting to call out to her, but before he could, she shot him a murderous glare. A cold chill ran down his spine. He shut his mouth instantly. Even as she walked past me, I couldn't tear my eyes away. I knew who she was, the world's villainess. Hongbion was one of the game's main characters. She and the protagonist were constantly at odds, and in nearly every ending, she suffered a tragic fate. No matter what choices were made, she either died brutally, was bullied until she was expelled, or disappeared in disgrace. It was as if the developers had a personal grudge against her character. Yet, she was strangely popular among male players. Seeing her in person, I finally understood why. She was breathtaking. But something about her also told me she was not someone to cross lightly. Feeling hungry, I headed to the cafeteria. The food looked delicious, but the prices were outrageous. Sighing, I settled for a canned meal. An announcement soon echoed through the ship. Attention passengers, we will be arriving in Arcanium in 10 minutes. Please make your way to the first floor. A smirk crossed my lips. It's finally starting. For better or worse, this was my new reality, and I was ready for whatever came next.